Hello everyone, another big welcome to the next instalment in CODA's webinar series. My name's Shaun Sadler. Today I'm delighted to say that we're joined by CODA partner Pentarch Offshore Solutions. Now, one of the biggest challenges and opportunities for the ongoing growth of the decommissioning industry sector in Australia is the need for ready access to suitable ports and facilities, particularly in and around those areas where we expect most of the decommissioned offshore materials to be shipped for deconstruction, processing and disposal. Now, CODA's Forward Outlook tool shows us the very phased nature of decommissioning activity through time. That means that sites like that will at times need to accommodate very significant volumes of decommissioned materials for offloading, storage, processing and even further transport. But at the same time, got to maintain the ability to support other operations or even other industries outside of peak decommissioning activity phases. And generally, that's a pretty complex challenge. So I'm really pleased to welcome the directors of Pentarch Offshore Solutions, William and Tony Kanavan, who, alongside Karen Crane from Oceans to Earth, are going to talk to us today about some exciting new developments that have the potential to help the industry unlock this type of challenge. As always, please don't forget to load your questions to the team's chat or Q&A screens as we go along. But that's enough from me. William, Tony and Karen, it's over to you.
Thank you very much for that introduction, Shaun, and thanks very much to the CODA team, and welcome everyone and who is attending this webinar today. As Shaun stated, I am Will Kanavan. I'm the Managing Director of Pentarch Offshore Solutions, and joining me today is Tony Kanavan, who's the Director of Operations, and as Shaun said, Karen Crane, who is our General Manager of Oceans to Earth and one of the companies within the Permaculture and Carbon Group. So Tony's just presenting now. We just want
to... Does that look all right, Shaun?
So just...
Yep, that's looking good, guys. Off you go.
Thank you.
Just go to the next screen now. So we will just cover off on the Pentarch Group and just explain who we are. The Pentarch Group is made up of three divisions, forestry and agriculture, and now the permaculture and carbon division. So our forestry division was one of the largest and is one of the largest export timber businesses within Australia. The agricultural division exports animal feed products throughout a number of international markets. And now the permaculture and carbon division, which is made up of a group of companies that support a host of activities, including decommissioning. We have a renewable energy sector, an aquaculture and marine division, and Karen's division, the waste management, marine waste management division. We also support circular economy initiatives within the Permaculture and Carbon division. And the Pentarch Offshore Solutions sits squarely in that Permaculture and Carbon division. We're a key part of that. So Pentarch Offshore Solutions is managed by our 5 directors. Malcolm, Fraser and Simon are also the founding members of the Pentarch Group. And we really do draw from their support and number of years within the industry. It's a real bolster to us to have directors with that much experience within our group. So the Pentarch Group was established in 1984, and primarily they traded in forestry, ag and defence products. They purchased a site at Edrom, New South Wales in December of 2015. And they've handled large volumes of export product through that port annually for a number of years. So Pentarch Offshore Solutions really is that port management service. Tony, I might just get you to read through this slide for us.
Pentarch Offshore Solutions, we are a port management service company. We're supporting the offshore and onshore marine projects and also the emerging decommissioning sector. We hold decades of oil and gas and decommissioning experience, and POS understands complexities and the issues faced in the marine construction industry. Our industry expertise also allows us to work closely with our clients in providing tailored port logistics services that can streamline project schedules and timelines.
So really, Pentarch Offshore Solutions, we combine this knowledge and integrate that knowledge across multiple sectors within the company. We're really here to support that oil and gas decommissioning and renewable sector. Pentarch Offshore Solutions, we do understand the language of the decommissioning industry, regulatory requirements, and the oil and gas operators' expectations. We've worked within that industry and we understand it well. We manage all of the onshore projects at the port, and our ability to identify, mitigate, and any potential changes that may occur before they arise is really our core strength. I think it's the industry knowledge that we had that really drives our efficiency and sets us apart from other traditional Australian ports.
Yep.
So Tony and myself have a combined experience in the heavy marine construction and decommissioning, vessel mobilisation, shipbuilding, and offshore production operations. We hold extensive experience in Bass Strait and spent a number of years there. We ultimately understand the landscape of Victoria's oil and gas industry as well, and we followed that intently. My background primarily comprises of decades of experience within Bass Strait in heavy construction, production management, and major projects, and then in latter years into decommissioning. Tony has an extensive international experience in heavy marine construction, port management, and decommissioning industry as well, and has worked in some of the most challenging countries in the world and equally challenging conditions. And our family really has a long-standing history within the oil and gas industry in Australia and internationally, and especially around those early years within the family. And Tony and I now both continue to support the industry, and coming into this decommissioning era, it is really exciting for us to see the end of an era, unfortunately, but to have that family history behind us. So now we'll go to the next one. Yeah, we might just give you guys an introduction to the facility and a bit of an overview video. We'll play that and it'll give you a better understanding of the site.
Welcome to the Port of Edrom in Twofold Bay, Eden, New South Wales, home to the third largest natural deep water port in the Southern Hemisphere. Located within 100 nautical miles to Bass Strait, the Port of Edrom is one of the largest deep water ports on the eastern seaboard, with a berthing depth of 11.3 metres and its ship loader at 10.3 at the multi-purpose wharf. The port can support vessels up to 300 metres in length, with large industrial zone land and hard stand areas spanning over 80 hectares. The site has been used as an international export facility for timber products and agriculture industries. With the shift of direction within the Pentarch Group, Pentarch Offshore Solutions now lead the business in creating a new vision for the port, set to become Australia's first renewable energy terminal supporting oil and gas decommissioning, marine construction, biofuels, marine vest systems, green and biogas projects, and environmental solutions. Within Pentarch's permaculture and carbon division, the Ocean to Earth team is Australia's first patrishful marine waste processing facility, turning unwanted marine waste into organic fertilizer products. The port has partnered with development companies looking to invest in the port future. And now, with major wharf expansion plans now underway, the Port of Edrom is positioned to become Australia's leading renewable energy port.
So the Port of Edrom offers a very unique and strategic location for oil and gas and decommissioning industry, particularly for aged assets out of Bass Strait. We are situated 100 nautical miles, 120 nautical miles from the centre of major oil and gas operations within Bass Strait. And the Port of Edrom offers a close deep water alternative for decommissioning activities. Located on the north sector of Bass Strait, I think we offer a more stable and fuel efficient departure out of Bass Strait for vessels seeking shelter in rapidly shifting Bass Strait weather patterns. Twofold Bay has been long recognised as a safe anchorage for vessels avoiding weather out of that area of Bass Strait. The bay has very little restrictions in terms of tidal. There is no tidal restrictions when entering Twofold Bay, and the site offers 24 hours unimpeded access. I think that's a great asset in that port. We don't have any restrictions around time frames. So the depth of entrance into Twofold Bay from the ocean is approximately 22 metres, and then it drops off into that 40+ metre space. So providing deep water access for large ships entering and exiting the bay, it makes the port capable of accommodating vessels of significant draft and further enhances our ability to support decommissioning projects as well as other large-scale maritime operations. We are well positioned for international vessels entering Australia from the east coast. Most of those international vessels transit from north to south. So we do tend to be that first port that the vessels will come past. So that is another attractive offer. We have got FPOE, so first point of entry in the facility. So that is a value add to the site. So we do offer two quayside wharf assets, and we do operate them at the Port of Edrom. The first one would be the T-head ship loader, and the second one is the multi-purpose wharf, which consists of a 200 metre by 30 metre concrete constructed hardstand connected via a 600 metre roadway. It's T44 road train rated carriageway, so it is quite significant. In addition to the land-based facilities, Pentarch offers a full skilled trades team on site, and that does include stevedores as well. We have our own stevedore division. We provide some other specialised services as well, including refuelling options. We do have the ability now to offer biodiesels if any marine contractors are interested in that as well. The multi-user wharf is very well equipped with essential infrastructure such as potable water. We have that available on hand. Shore power is another really big one. If you look at the vessel down the side of that multi-purpose wharf, there is 3 major bays and stations down on that side that house 240 and 415 volt receptacles. So if we were looking at vessel activities like mobilisation or reconfiguration and any welding operations, it is very easy to facilitate that quayside on that multi-purpose wharf. Crane services are also available from the multi-purpose wharf, and crane capacities up to 70 tonne. So I think we see the multi-purpose wharf is really ideal for that smaller, as it's situated at the moment, it's really suited to that smaller mid-scale subsea asset removal. Pipeline recovery is exceptional value for that site. Umbilicals will be another one. So Pentarch facilities are really well positioned to handle these operations efficiently. And we have the planned expansion of the wharf, which we'll get to a little bit later, and the company is really set with that expansion down the track to offer a real world-class facility. So Tony? I might just get you
Yeah,
to
some of the
expand on-
projects that have been handled over the wharf, obviously theirs can handle loads up to around the 66 tonnes at the moment, but with some SPMTs or other types of transport vehicles, they can be increased, that weight distribution can be increased for the axle load. So Boco Rocks is one of the projects that has been handled over some of the wind projects before, and also construction of heavy marine piping has been unloaded as well. So piping lengths up to that 16 to 18 metres has been offloaded and transferred through that wharf. So great hard stand design and utilising, like Will said, some of those smaller decommissioning projects that could be handled very easy over the wharf. The ship loader is one of our main sort of operations for the wood chips. Currently, it is in a new configuration to cover other aggregates and critical minerals. So upgrades are in place at the moment. But it handles vessels up around that 210 metres. It's also been upgraded with a mooring analysis to increase that to the 300 metres, and mooring analysis increased the weight from 100,000 tonnes to 200 metric tonnes. So there's a significant increase with the mooring analysis and upgrades that can service larger vessels as well. It's got 11.3 metre draft at that wharf, and around that a 12.7 berthing draft. So it's a single ship loader, and it has a maximum reach of 23 metres, and its berthing deck height is 8.5. So it has approved weather chart designs, and both wharfs are capable of taking waves of up to about the 3 metre mark. There is a wind covenant in there, and we can sort of berth any vessels up to around that 35 knots. 36 to 55, some of the ships will have to vacate the area, especially when we're running that northeasterly aspect wind. But during the south and the west, which is our main wind, we're very protected, and ships may remain in berth for long periods of time. There's no effect from the wind from those directions.
Thanks, Tony.
The land there, Will.
Yeah, so the site offers large-scale industrial land. I mean, that's what it's set up for. That's what it's set up to, and it has been for a number of years. So in total, there's 88 hectares of industrial zone land, and that provides ample space to accommodate large machinery and offer that dedicated area for decommissioning breakdown. Due to reductions in Victoria and New South Wales in their timber allocation, this site can really now offer significant working spaces for decommissioning contractors. The hard stands have been home to a large number of machinery for a number of years, and are very well suited to continue that activity. The site's substructure is a very high impact non-permeable material. It's like a sandstone material, and it is held up incredibly well to a number of years of use on that site. You know, we have heavy machinery on that site daily over decades, and it's just held up really well. Yeah. So very well suited for large scale breakdown yard. Some examples of the breakdown yards there as well.
So there's probably a lot of area there that's been developed, and some areas that are underdeveloped. So we offer around the 10 to 12 hectares at the moment of developed of land that is into hard stand area. And at the moment, there's another 12 hectares of land that can be future developed to accommodate these large decommissioning projects. So all up, like Will was saying, it's 88 hectares. We do have 40 hectares available space right now that could accommodate decommissioning projects.
Just want to cut to the next slide. So we might just touch on waste management and our environmental support at the moment. We also have some very innovative waste management solutions on site. We have a strong focus to support breakdown contractors and help them really manage their waste handling requirements. We currently hold 3 EPA licenses at the site. So the first one is the multi-user wharf. That includes bulk shipping products up to 500,000 tonnes. We also have a license for Yard 6 and for Yard 1 and 2. And if anyone wants some specifics on that, please contact us and we can organise a meeting and go through the requirements. We have got hydrocarbon handling licenses and prescribed waste licenses as well on the site, but please reach out and we can go through that further. We also have a company attached, which Kyron is with us today under the permaculture and carbon banner. That's our Oceans to Earth. They do operate a marine waste processing business on site. They are one of the only certified companies in Australia that specialise in converting marine waste into a high quality fertiliser. We see this as a huge value add to the decommissioning industry, especially in that recovered subsea asset space. To be able to process strip marine waste on site from recovered assets and turn them into a value add fertiliser that gets distributed through the local farming communities and domestic use as well for the region. I think that's just a huge value add. So Kyron, I might just ask you to briefly explain Oceans to Earth and what they do.
Thanks for that. Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Will, and afternoon, everybody. And thanks a lot for the opportunity to give a brief presentation here today about our business, Ocean to Earth. And as Will mentioned, we're also part of the permaculture and carbon division. We're a sister business to Pentarch Offshore Solutions, and we also operate out of the Eden site. So just a couple of slides briefly on just to introduce Ocean to Earth and what we do. So we really see ourselves as a circular economy based business, and as Will mentioned, we really focus on closing the loop on both marine and forestry industry byproducts. So we're the only company in Australia with commercial approval to naturally compost and commercially sell biofertilizers and composts that are derived from a range of different marine waste feedstocks. So in a nutshell, we really manufacture both soil enhancement and organic fertilizer products, and we do that from Eden, and we sell those both into the home garden and the commercial market, particularly back into the local farming industry. So we've been in operation for around about 7 years, and through that time we've done a lot of R&D and a lot of research, and we're really into that scale up mode now. So we pretty much collect all the organic seafood waste from all the processors in southeastern New South Wales and right through into northeastern Victoria. We blend those with forest residues, which are also produced on site there at Eden, and we've developed a specialised inoculant and composting process that is developed specifically for a range of different organic marine waste feedstocks. So in our 7 years of operation, we've processed a wide range of different feedstocks and marine waste streams. So anything from mussels, oysters, seaweed, fish, scallops, abalone, sea urchins, pretty much whatever gets produced in our region, we've found beneficial reuse solutions for those feedstocks, and we've been able to turn those into beneficial fertilisers to go back into our local farming and domestic farming industries. So I guess to that end, now that we've refined that process, we, along with Pentarch Offshore Solutions, see a really strong opportunity to use our process to value add biofouling and organic marine waste from offshore infrastructure and turn those into fertilisers as opposed to going into landfills. So I just want to briefly touch on a little bit of our vision of our business and why we do what we do. So we really see ourselves as providing sustainable alternatives for industry byproducts, and what we've been able to really achieve in that last 7 years is to really start to shift the dial on, I guess, what was once considered waste, now being considered a valuable resource. And I guess what we've found is that once a waste stream becomes a resource, that stays in the value chain and no longer is considered a waste stream. So we see some really big opportunities to scale up with the offshore decommissioning industry.
Yeah, thanks, Kyron. We'll just cut out a little bit at the end, but there is a great opportunity there to utilise the two companies together to provide the opportunity to give these the waste streams a home and give them back with the circular economy in mind. So, yeah, that's great. Thanks very much.
And I think the value add really and the benefit to the decommissioning industry, especially around those recovered subsea assets, is really it's processed in-house on site. So we're starting to limit that transportation of any hazardous marine waste that may have to leave the site. We can actually process in-house. So I think that is a huge win for the site. We can receive, strip and process without having to leave the site. So I think it is a very unique process. And thank you very much for that, Kyron, for explaining that. Tony, we might just jump into the next slide now and just move into the wharf expansion.
So in the background, obviously, there is a wharf expansion. We'll just extend that information on. So we've been working closely with companies to come up with utilisations of the facilities and transform them into staging operations for future work.
Yeah. So central really to the expansion plans, and it is a large expansion plan, it really centres around that T-head and the infill of that T-head ship loader facility. I think it gives us the best access back into the existing site, and it gives us some dual carriageways. So Tony, just touch on that for a minute.
The expansion is quite significant. We're 350 metres out, so we're utilising the chip loaders, dolphins, to just build off the existing infrastructure. We're down at 11.3 metres as the chip loader stands in that area, so it's a significant deep draft and accommodating vessels up to the 300 metre and possibly further. We'll hold a maintenance activity on the far side with a break wall installed just to secure and future-proof the port from those northeasterlies swells. So the opportunity there for a maintenance and berthing of smaller vessels, as well as then the marshalling of the bigger vessels on the other side, warehouses and port facilities. There'll be central carriageways that transfer a lot of material back up to the hard stand areas on the site. So we have two access areas that can then utilise both sides of the port land. And obviously for future, there is plans to be able to support other industries. It's a staged approach. So we have obviously some emerging operations and industries that are coming up that we can support, but also two larger decommissioning projects in the future around Australia can utilise the port's opportunities.
Thanks for that, Tone. We really do feel that the wharf upgrade will significantly unlock the opportunities on the site and really fill a gap in the market. So we also see that the site can, with the upgrades, can potentially provide some overflow from future WA projects. We know there's limited amount of deep water ports, and especially dedicated ports that are set up for decommissioning and possibly construction and renewable. So it wouldn't be out of the question for us to provide a supporting role to some of those northwestern projects. I think it captures some value within Australia. It gives some Australian content, and it gives us a bit of ongoing industry work within the country. So I think we see our role on the east coast of Australia in the decommissioning industry as being really the primary focus for us. We want to address those potential those overlaps and the gaps in decommissioning in the renewable sector that we know are coming. Like the gaps are already stated. So I think capacities within ports are stretched, especially in around those middle and latter stages of 2020. And I think to provide some additional port capacity into that system, it really allows those projects to proceed concurrently. So we might just do a bit of a recap. So just so everyone really understands our role at the Port of Edrom is really to facilitate efficient, sustainable decommissioning projects. Pentarch Offshore Solutions is a port-based logistics management company trying to drive additional value into our port and utilise that deep water access into the area. So just to give everyone a real sense of how busy or how little use the Twofold Bay is. So we're only utilising that port at 10% of Sydney and Melbourne's capacity. Currently there is 122 vessel-free days within Twofold Bay, and currently we have export ships at 20 times per year, and seven of those include naval visits. So it's a vastly underutilised deep water bay. It is extremely accessible, and it has been always considered one of those safe anchorages on the east coast of Australia. We'd also like to mention too the surrounding communities within the area. So we've got Merimbula within that 45 to 50 kilometre zone that houses a large regional airport that flies daily from Sydney to Melbourne. So the access into the region is really well set up. So we do see we have some significant benefit in that regional airport. That regional airport has got plans to expand as well. So I think we're well situated for logistics and access to people coming and going to projects.
I think one of the key aspects of the site is its industrial trained labour that's already operation and its maintenance base as well. So we hold up to 80 personnel on site that are working around at the moment on the chip loader and also the log yard. They have a maintenance background and skill background of welders and electricians, fitter and turners. So we have a skills-based labour. So with the EPA licences, we're already open and we're zoned industrial to be able to accommodate projects, and obviously contractors looking to use the site would just have to apply for an EPL licence just for hazardous waste that come onto the site. So as Will said earlier, we can expand a little bit further on those EPA requirements for the decommissioning activities.
And it is really unique to have a port facility that has extensive knowledge and intimate knowledge of the industry. Both Tony and I have spent a number of years, all of our careers, as a matter of fact, in the oil and gas industry. So we do understand the requirements of the contractors, and for us to assist and help and work with those contractors, that's exactly what we're trying to set up on this site. We have operated over the years in many different ports and on many different sites, and it's a breath of fresh air to get some help and actually work with those contractors, and that's really about gaining efficiencies for the industry. We have got some contact details up there on the screen, and I might just hand back over to Shaun for a quick Q&A session.
All right, thank you very much indeed, William, Tony and Kyron. Very interesting presentation, very interesting perspectives on the Port of Edrom. We do have a couple of questions in play, which we can go to in a second. I would just emphasise for people on the call, on the meeting, to drop any other questions you might have on the basis of what you just heard into the chat or Q&A area in the Teams environment. So let's kick off. One of the first questions that's come up is what are the competing port facilities that could be used to bring equipment onshore in this area? And it's no secret that Exxon are targeting Barry's Beach, for example, for their work. But I think the opportunity here is to say, well, what sets this place apart compared to some of the other ports which are around in that part of the country?
It's a good question, Shaun. So I think as far as other competing ports, you would be going down to Tasmania and then possibly around into Port Phillip and to Geelong. As it's situated at the moment, logistically, we are the closest deep water port to the northern and central sector of Bass Strait. But certainly, we're really there to provide a gap in the industry. We know there's a lot of industry coming. There's a lot of projects happening within that Bass Strait region in the coming years, and we really do see us coming into the mix now as value adding to the industry. If we can assist in any way of expediting some of those projects that may happen concurrently, it's a beneficial win for the industry. We do understand that some of those projects may be stalled in different areas because of lack of port capacity. It's just the physical sheer scale of what's coming and the size of the equipment that has to come out. So
thanks for that. One of the things you talked about is the fact that you've got operations on site and you've had heavy machinery operations on site for some time. From a decommissioning perspective, what other onshore activities are you thinking about doing at the site? And does any of this involve waste management and recycling, particularly bearing in mind that decommissioning often involves the management of hazardous materials as well?
Yeah, it's another good one. So yes, we want to support land-based breakdown activities on the site. The site has a huge amount of capacity. As we said before, the whole site's 88 hectares, but realistically, the logging operations that have occurred have only ever been on about 25 to 30% of the site's capacity. So there's a huge area now for that to coexist. The timber industry has reduced significantly, so the capacity's increased even more. But in terms of waste management, handling, we're really there to support the breakdown contractors that would come and operate on the site. We do currently hold those EPA licenses, and we would adhere to the New South Wales regulations. And we're really here to assist those breakdown contractors in that. There is a couple of hard stand areas that are capped, and certainly if we had a project of scale, we can assist in capping extra yards. But the site is set up with reclaiming areas and a recirculated drainage system, and it has got a small potential at the moment for hydrocarbon recovery. If you were going into terms of large scale mercury and potential for benzenes and norms, well, we would have to look at that in an expansion capacity. But it's certainly not it's not out of the realms of the site. We do currently have a number of prescribed chemicals that we use on the site. They utilise that within the timber industry for fumigation. So the site's very used to having prescribed chemicals on site. And as we said before, it's been a decades-old operating industrial site. So we're not sort of starting from scratch.
Thanks for that feedback. Now, Kim, you've just asked the question that I was going to ask, which was really, may have missed it, but what's the timing for that wharf expansion that you talked about? How long do you expect that to take?
So there's two approaches at the moment. The planning stage for the wharf is around the 5 years. Stage one can handle smaller reclamations, partial builds, and look, we are very mindful about the impact and environmental assessments that would come with a expansion of this size, and also we are talking with floating design contractors as well, just to look at opportunities to increase that time frame. But our initial thoughts is around that 5 year mark, and that's why we utilise the naval wharf as that, or the multi-purpose wharf, as an option for now for smaller decommissioning activities, while the larger construction plans take place.
And I think, like Tony said, it can certainly be a staged event on the site. Shaun, it wouldn't be out of the question to put in a central pile carriageway and then utilise some floating asset to assist us in the short term, especially if there was a contractor that had a need come in earlier, then we could look at that, expediting that.
Okay, thanks for that. My personal favourite question is going to be around, listen, you talked a little bit about your EPA licensing and things like that. Ports sit at that transition between regulatory environments that govern ocean and landside transport. What's been your experience in terms of navigating the regulatory environments, in terms of the approvals you've already got, and how do you look forward to perhaps expanding that in the future?
There's probably been a lot of extensive work understanding our existing operations and how we fall in with the EPA licenses currently. So we undertake noise management, some air quality assessments, and as Will said, the site is then boundaried by its water recirculation system, which is obviously tested and complies to the current EPA license. To navigate through now to a new industry is one that we're working closely at the moment with, how we fall into changing the existing infrastructure from timber products into decommissioning. So those discussions have been ongoing, and obviously understanding what material we will be handling will determine what type of EPA licenses and regulation requirements we have to meet for the site. But the relationship we have is really great with the EPA, New South Wales EPA regulatory requirements. So, and as we said, there would be an EPL license, so a license to be able to utilise the site for different types of material other than timber products. But we are still navigating a little bit through that, Shaun, and there is an ongoing process and trying to get that understanding of the materials and what hazardous materials some of these decommissioning assets will bring to the site.
And I do believe we have operated on that site for a number of years under current EPA licenses. We're probably in a lot better position than a number of ports. We certainly don't sit in a restricted environmental zone, so that is a huge benefit for us. The site is and has always been set up, zoned for large-scale industrial, and it has been set up to support marine activities, especially going right back to the intent of when they first built the multi-user wharf. One of the intended uses was for supporting oil and gas assets and production. So it was an intended use. It also the multi-purpose wharf also holds one of the highest explosive licenses in Australia as well. So it's well used to prescribed material and has been well used to handling some probably very tricky items over its lifetime.
Yeah.
That's good. And yeah, just a little plug from our end. CODA is shortly going to be releasing a report based on our look at waste management, which will give a bit more background on the expectations around waste streams coming out of decommissioning, oil and gas decommissioning. We do have another question here, and it goes back to the wharf expansion. How would that be financed, and how much is it anticipated to cost, if you are able to talk about those things?
I probably wouldn't hesitate. I'd be hesitant to go into that, but it will be a collaboration. There is some external finance. As you would appreciate, Shaun, I haven't quite got that money in my back pocket, so it would be a collaborative investment opportunity for a number of people, and we are discussing that at the moment.
So there will be obviously the Port Authorities, New South Wales, that interaction and how we work together with those expansions. Obviously, the Port Authority is still operating the bay. We are privately landholders, so we sit on a bit of a different fence, but we're working together, and obviously with state and federal governments on that expansion process to work those mechanisms out.
Thank you for answering that. Or probably last one from me is around supply chain outlets for, if you looked at decommissioning materials coming into this port, are you clear on what you would see as the key pathways out of the port area for materials generated there by processing on site?
Yeah, absolutely, Shaun. We sit in equal distance between Sydney and Melbourne, but realistically, the run back down to East Gippsland is relatively easy. It's been a heavy truck user road for a number of years. As I said earlier, we processed upwards of 1 million tonnes a year of product onto that site. So that's over 15,000 truck movements that used to come into that site, offload, process, and then export. So the roadways coming in are very well set up and very used to heavy truck traffic. Heading north towards Sydney can be a little bit more challenging at times, but certainly it's exported. Our sawn timber products over the years have left the site via the way of truck and road transport. But also we see the opportunity for us to, some of the marine contractors that we have been talking about, whether we can process on site, clean on site, and then export clean broken steel via the multi-user wharf as well. So we'll receive, process, land-based, clean up, and then export, dispatch via the multi-purpose wharf, and that opens up the opportunity for it to enter the recycled market wherever it may be required.
No, it's interesting because one of the fascinating things that got talked about here was Karen's piece around being able to take marine growth, break it down, turn it into fertilizer, and actually put it back into local farming communities, which is a tremendous story to be able to tell, of course, and a tremendous opportunity. So placing that in context of the broader management of materials coming out of the site, I think is quite important. Kim has asked me, moving forward, how will CODA support Pentarch in breaking into the oil and gas decommissioning industry? And I think really our role there is to sort of help you by just providing as much context as we always do for, where the industry's moving, what decisions are being made, what's the timing associated with all these activities, and what does the onshore supply chain and infrastructure actually look like, to really help people like yourselves, support your own decision making, and that is our role. We want to provide the information to industries right from across the full life cycle of decommissioning, to really have some input into what you decide at the end and make sure that you're as informed as you can be. So that would be my answer to that one. I got a question today. I don't usually get questions at these things, but there you go. I got one. Thanks, Kim.
Thank you, Shaun. And just to add to comment on Kyron, we are very immensely proud of Kyron and what that industry does, or that company does do, especially for the decommissioning industry. It just provides that other pathway for recycling. But another thing that we are very interested in is any reuse, repurpose. And in that concrete recovered asset space, the site has some plans for any of that too. So we certainly have some, with the plans for the wharf upgrade, we see any of the non-hazardous recycled concrete product as being value add to the site as well.
Okay, we've had no further questions, and we're actually closing in on our allotted time for this. It remains only for me to thank Tony and William and Kyron from Pentarch Offshore Solutions. It's been a very, very interesting overview of the Port of Edrom, and also everybody who's joined in today and asked some very interesting questions. It's been a great discussion. So thank you to everybody. Look forward to the next discussion.
Thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for the platform that CODA provides. It's very much appreciated. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thanks, guys.